I'm David Perez. Today my talk is going to be about California's water drought. Just to start off, how many of us actually drink bottled water on a regular basis? It's a good show number of hands. The reason why I'm saying this is because, if you're not aware, our bottles, basically of water, have come from a source outside of where we buy and where you may acquire the bottled water from, such as aquifers, or maybe a desalinization process that takes place someplace here in the California, or perhaps out of state someplace. Well, today the topic I've chosen was to try to find a way of solving California's water shortage through desalinization. That is, going after the source would be such as the aquifers again, or that of the seawater that we have. As we all know, we're in a dire need of water. The shortage is inevitably there. The fact that we are having to conserve is even stronger now than ever before. And we must understand that there has to be a way to be able to tap into a source other than what we're depending on right now, such as rainfall, which we don't get hardly anything of, and perhaps maybe of shared resources which we could reach out. The problem is that there are bureaucracies and there are also issues that we have been trying to address to try to attain that resource. So California's water shortage has been in a critical state of crisis, as we know, and it must be addressed more seriously than ever before. Our water resources are now have been at a dangerous all-time low, placing a serious threat on our very lives and means of survival, as we know today. We must find ways to get through this process. So if we could do this, we need to know, and we must be able to act right away, because it is very important that we do. We no longer have the time. That is a commodity now. So with the precious time that we have, we must do something to change it. The 3 points that I want to make have to touch on how to acquire this. Desalinization to provide water for meeting California's needs to our farmlands and livestock, our homes and businesses. My second point would be about obtaining water sources and resolving fundamental issues, these issues that I'll be able to point out, by tapping into these local aquifers even more so, and by also reaching out to areas or destinations which have not been reached, such as perhaps maybe the Antarctic or the Arctica. And then raising money to secure these projects and research through government and private grants, perhaps even corporate sponsorships and government tax break incentives. All this could be possible. We've seen it done through oil, we've seen it done through the way we do our trade. Water treatment technology has been a standard process through a known method called reverse osmosis, or captive deionization, which is CDI. According to an article that was published, the Department of Desalinization and Water Treatment, they say captive deionization, CDI, has attracted interest in the community investigating the water treatment technology since the mid-1960s. The technology is based on the recognition that high surface area electrodes, which are electronically charged, can quantitatively absorb ionic components from water, thereby resulting in desalinization. A second quote I've discovered here was also, it provides critical review of the advantages and limitations of the technology. In addition, further research and approaches necessary to render the CDI a mature, competitive technology for treatment of brackish, which is a combined water of fresh and salt water, and surface waters that are outlined. Because the desperate need to bring the current water supply to a safe state level, there must be alternative ways of improving our situation through tested methods and technology. And one method that has existed but has also been extremely costly is through desalinization of the seawater. There are right now plants that we have spread out over California, and there are several, but however, the cost of operating those is significantly extremely expensive because we have high labor costs involved. We also have the process of pressure that goes in, having to draw the water, the malfunction that goes on, and you have also to worry about whether or not if the quality of water that is going to be processed will still be that way because of the fact that we have aging policies that have not been changed yet to be able to acquire these needs to change the process for more improved production. The process is performed by which we thoroughly extract the removal of salt sea, microorganisms, and harmful forms of bacteria and non-render existent that would not pose a threat to the human health and safety. In an article I found as an abstract from the Institute of Chemistry and Biology, they discovered that desalinization of seawater accounts for a worldwide production of 24.5 million a day, and these hotspot locations. Desalination activity has also been discovered in the Arabian Gulf, but other regional centers from activity emerged and have become more prominent, such as the Mediterranean Sea, the Red Sea, the coastal waters of California, China, and Australia. Despite the many benefits and technology has to offer, concerns arise over potential and negative impacts of the environment. And these are the key issues that concentrate the chemical discharge of the marine environment. The EIPA study mentions this, and they discovered that it's also having to deal with toxicity, the complications of disrupting the marine life. Could we or should we go through this mass cleansing of salt sea? What do we do with the salt sea when it's then removed in extract? If it were to go return back to the sea, chances are we're going to actually oversalt the sea water. So again, it's environmentally unsafe, but there's still chance that we can continue. To sum up in my research, I found that this particular subject, there's a lot more at stake here, global issues and so forth, and I believe there's a lot more at stake here that we must consider. So we can do something, each of us can try to do something on our own to prevent and to be able to have the opportunity to continue on, and maybe perhaps look towards technology and education to see where we can make these changes. Thank you very much.
All right, David, let me give you the kind of general criticism that I have here at the end of the speech that I think is going to summarize a lot of the problems that I had with the presentation. It sounds like you're doing an analysis paper of what possible responses we can have to water shortage instead of taking a position on that says one of these will work, or taking a position that says this is not going to work. I don't really know what your argument is. It's just, I'm going to tell you about desalinization, and then we've got some other places that we might be able to get some water, and you know there are environmental problems with desalinization. I'm going, okay, well, and where's the line that you're asking us to stand on one side of or the other? And it's not clear. It just sounds to me like it's general information about that subject. If you're going to take a position that says desalinization would be an effective solution to California's water crisis, that would be pretty straightforward. And then you can tell us that desalinization is practical, that it works, and that we can overcome the cost restrictions and environmental problems. And that would be a clear argument. That's not kind of what we're getting here. And I got the one piece of evidence, the first piece of evidence that you cite isn't even being used to present an argument on this. It simply describes what the desalinization process is and kind of gives a little bit of history on it, which is not necessarily unimportant information, but it doesn't advance one point of view or the other on it. I did get a little bit of information about how, there's a piece of factual data about how many millions of gallons are produced each day in these hotspot locations, 24 million gallons. I'm going, okay, so how much does California need on a daily basis? We produce 24 million gallons a day around the world at these hotspot locations where they do have desalinization. How much does California need every day? Could we get that much with 20, if we did everything that they're doing in some of these Mediterranean, Middle Eastern, China, and apparently one or two locations in California, and we got 24 million gallons a day, would that solve California's water crisis? I don't know, because I don't have any context on how much water we use on a regular basis. it's like you're kind of stepping in and you've given us some background information on this water shortage, some background information on desalinization. And then, I mean, it seemed a little strange. You come up and says, and boy, desalinization presents some big environmental problems. And go, well, okay, wait a second. Now all of a sudden it doesn't sound like such a hot idea. And we don't get that explained. So it's a little contradictory on those particular points. So I see that as being problematic. You need to have a more forceful position on this. And this is one of the reasons that, I know you changed your topic, and it's one of the reasons that I like to look at the outlines ahead of time so I can say, hey, you've got to hone in on something here. There's got to be a little bit more clear dispute on what's happening, and that's the big problem that's going on here. All right, I know I repeated myself several times on that. You can listen to it over and over.